Jesus, author and perfecter of our faith. Thank you for joining us in our Sabbath School journey. We are studying the book of Hebrew this quarter, and this week we look at the most famous chapter of the whole book, chapter 11, or the so-known chapter of faith. Why would the struggling Hebrews accept to go through such hardships that they were going through for something that could not even be real? What if everything they believed in was a scam? Paul encourages them to endure, but to endure something so big, you need to be sure that it's worth it. In the core of all this is faith. But what does it mean? How does it work? Where does it come from? Too many questions.
Faith it's an interesting thing. Faith isn't what you know. Faith isn't a desire. Faith isn't an imagination. Faith isn't an action. Faith isn't something that comes to me naturally. What is faith? My faith personally originates in Jesus, who is in fact the founder of my faith. What does that mean? Christ came to this earth and he gave some promises. God, through the voices of the prophets in the Old Testament, also gave some promises. Has God been faithful to what he had promised? Have I discovered his faithfulness in his promises? If the answer is yes, this is where my faith starts. Not only that, but this is where my faith feeds off constantly and continually.
These are some of the biggest questions in Christianity. Why do some have faith and others don't? Is faith our own merit? Not according to Scripture, it is given to us from God, but then why is it given to some and not to others? We don't have all the answers, but we want to encourage you to study for yourself. Hebrews 11 lists several examples of faith, and the lesson goes through some of them, searching for clues.
If faith is something, at least to what Paul describes it to be, it is confidence. Of course, not just in any confidence, but confidence in what we hope for, and assurance about what we do not see. And here the lesson gives us three examples of people who practice confidence and assurance in what they were promised. How? Abraham was ready to sacrifice his own son Isaac. Moses gave up on becoming probably the next Pharaoh of Egypt. And Rahab, a prostitute, accepted the Israelite spies with the risk of her own life, betraying her own people. Something bigger was what they hoped for them to do what they did. Something much more satisfying was what they had assurance of. And this bigger thing and much more satisfying thing is what drove their decision and behavior to have faith and act upon it.
Abraham is the craziest example for me. What would make him to be obedient to such extent? It is a very personal experience with God, but such trust? He tried to help God deliver his promise earlier for a son, and he quickly found out that it doesn't work this way. He learned to trust God to extremes. Why would Moses choose to be a fugitive, to be leader of slaves, when he had much more glorious options? Why would he choose hardships voluntarily? Why is Rahab an example of faith at all? How can a Gentile prostitute be given as an example for faith to pious religious people? But even more interesting than that, what made her trust the Jewish spies? What did she see? How did she see it? The mysteries of faith. But you see, they are mysteries until you experience it. When you encounter Jesus and you engage in a relationship, you start seeing things that you never saw before, and things start making sense in a different way.
I'm wondering, would I be living today with faith if Jesus Christ never came? After all, he's the ultimate example of how we can live with faith and succeed. His choices and his actions were never wrong. They were always driven by his confidence and his assurance in his personal goal to glorify his Father. He accepted the human flesh. He accepted abuse and torture. He accepted shame. He accepted cross, sorrow, death. But he had the confidence in his Father, and in return, he received the reward to sit on his right hand side. As I said at the beginning, it doesn't come to me naturally to make decisions by faith. But I'm looking at Jesus, as Paul suggests, and I'm learning from him. I'm learning the new way of life by faith.
Jesus, as author and perfecter of our faith, is the theme for this lesson, and it hints that Jesus is not only the source of our faith, but it helps it grow also and develop in us. Paul uses the example of a race to exemplify the journey of faith. Many have run it and many are running it, but the prize is not achieved yet. Jesus, however, ran the race, showed us a perfect race, and won the greatest prize. His example and the confidence of his faithfulness ignites and fuels our faith. Next week, we will continue this theme with the study Receiving an Unshakable Kingdom.